Let's go ahead and get started tonight. Thank you very much. Really appreciate seeing everybody out on this night. It's very, very apparent that there's a good deal of interest in the topic at hand. I'm going to start by introducing myself. My name is Robert Harvey. I work for Haley Ward, which is an engineering consulting firm based in Bangor, Maine. We provide a lot of engineering and technical support for many, many communities around the state of Maine, many businesses and many private folks as well. So very, very pleased to be here tonight. I am going to start by walking through very quickly some of the guidelines that we put together for the meeting, just to help us stay on time and make sure there's an opportunity for everybody to be heard this evening. The purpose of the meeting tonight is to offer an overview and to log and collect all the questions that are coming from the public. That's a very, very important part of the process that we're going through, and we want to make sure everybody gets heard. We are asking folks to keep their questions and comments to no more than 3 minutes. Sometimes that's a challenge, but again, we want to give everybody the opportunity to speak and have their, their concerns and questions noted. Other than very black and white logistical type questions, folks can expect answers to their questions to be available online at bucksportmillanswers.com. So bucksportmillanswers.com will be available. Those answers should be there no later than 10 days from this meeting. And they will be online, and there's also going to be the opportunity for more questions to be submitted. We understand that this meeting is also being live streamed. We ask that anyone on the live stream with questions do so via the website, bucksportmillanswers.com, and those questions will also be answered by November 24th. People have the opportunity to ask questions on that website until December 2nd, although questions logged after November 15th will likely be answered in a second batch of questions. Tonight's meeting is not intended to be a debate. The petition has been filed. This is a public meeting that is intended to have the questions asked, which will be answered, and all of the comments will be logged. We will have a video camera recording tonight's meeting to accurately log the questions as well as we possibly can. And we will also have a couple of note takers around the room capturing the questions as they're stated. Procedurally, we are asking people to line up behind the microphone. Elizabeth Sutherland will be helping us with that. She will bring the microphone so that everybody can hear and everything can be captured. Please state your name, your address for the record before issuing a question or comment. So that's the general introduction. Next, I would like to introduce David Bryant in the front row here. David is the project manager for the Bucksport Mill LLC. He has been involved with Bucksport Mill since the acquisition by AIM. He was originally responsible for optimizing the power plant. His background is primarily in finance and acquisitions. He has been assigned to address the remaining Bucksport assets after 2020. So he is here with us tonight. With that, I am going to start moving ahead with just a few very, very general comments to bring us all to the same place. And I think that much of what you're going to see, you're going to be familiar with.
People are not getting sound on the Zoom.
On the Zoom.
Correct. We'll get there. Continue the meeting, please.
Okay. Okay. So the 3 dams that we are talking about tonight are the Toddy Pond Dam, located in Moreland, Alamoosook Lake Dam, and the Silver Lake Dam. The water rights to the Alamoosook Lake and Silver Lake Dam were purchased by the mill owners back in the 1930s. Toddy Pond was around 1965. Successive owners have operated and maintained these dams to support the operations of the paper mill here in Bucksport, and also to supply water to the town of Bucksport, and also to manage the water levels on the lakes, enhancing lakeshore properties. Bucksport Mill has operated and maintained these dams as required by the Maine Emergency Management Association, and I will probably reference that as MEMA, consistent with historical operations, but as done by the previous owners. I think that everybody in the room is probably extremely familiar, with the three lakes and the three dams in questions, and I'm expecting that many of you may be property owners along the shores of these lakes. The Toddy Pond Dam is located on Hatchery Road in Orland, very, very accessible from the main road. It was originally constructed in 1921. It is appears to be the oldest of the three dams. Primarily, constructed to support the paper mill needs. The last significant repairs on this dam occurred in 1947, so it definitely has been in existence for quite a long time. It helps to regulate the lake levels in Toddy Pond, but also controls the inflow to Alamoosook Lake. It's a composite earth and concrete masonry dam with a concrete fishway. It regulates the lake level in Toddy Pond and preserves the flows to Toddy Pond stream to help the migrating alewives. Alamoosook Dam is slightly larger, located on Soper Road in Orland, constructed in the 1930s to support the paper mill operations. It also regulates the lake levels on Alamoosook Lake. There was an on-site pump station that was used to transfer water to Silver Lake through a 3-foot diameter steel aqueduct during low water conditions in Silver Lake. That has not been in operation for several years now. The dam itself is a concrete mass gravity dam with a concrete fishway. The Silver Lake Dam is the newer of the three. It is located on Mill Street Outlet, construction in 1930, but extensive repairs were made in 1984. It does regulate the levels on Silver Lake, which served as the primary water supply for the former paper mill. The lake is also important in that it currently serves as the water supply for the town of Bucksport, and does have the ability to provide raw processed water to the power plant and the former mill property. It is a zoned earth embankment dam with a concrete core wall. Bucksport Mill LLC has continuously operated and maintained these dams, including completion of routine inspections and maintenance. Bucksport Mill LLC has worked with Maine Emergency Management Agency to comply with emergency management requirements, including updating and implementing EAPs or emergency action plans and O&M plans, operation and maintenance for each of the three dams. During a recent call with MEMA representatives to discuss the current status of the dams, MEMA stated that AIM has done everything MEMA has asked them to do in reference to dam management. Currently, there is not an ongoing industrial use for these three dams. With the exception of supplying water to the town of Bucksport and limited use of raw water for the power plant adjacent to where we are this evening, there is no other apparent commercial use for the impounded water. Bucksport Mill has not been able to identify any potential interested parties to take over the dams at this point in time. Because the efforts to identify new owners have not been successful, Bucksport Mill LLC has opted to petition the Maine Department of Environmental Protection to abandon the dams in accordance with 38 MRS Chapter 5, Section 901. Now, what does this chapter say in Maine statute? So Maine law allows dam operators to petition the Maine Department of Environmental Protection, MDEP, to divest of ownership of a dam. The statute outlines a 4-step process: petition and notice, which is exactly what we're doing here tonight. So the petition has been filed with the DEP and accepted by the DEP. And now we're in the notice period where we're talking directly to the public. There will be a period of consultation to find a new potential owner. That is also clearly defined in the statutes. If there is no owner identified during the designated period of time, it then goes to agency assessment of public value. What that means is there are 3 state agencies that would be brought into the process: the Department of Conservation, the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, and the Maine Emergency Management Agency. they would be asked to go through a very specific set of criteria to determine what the public value may be for those dams. And if they can determine there is a public value, they may be in a position to want to assume ownership of the dams, but they do not necessarily have an obligation to do so. If it goes that far and the agencies do not find public value, the last step is the Maine DEP will issue an order to the current owner to release the water, and it would become a run of river situation and revert to historical. As I said, currently we are on step one. So that's my short, few comments just to bring us to a very, very basic, point for everybody. At this point, I am going to turn it over and introduce Mr. Richard Rosen. Mr. Rosen is a member of the community here, and I think he is probably very well known. He's going to moderate the question and answer period for us here this evening. Thank you, Richard.
See what you're looking at. Because on Zoom, you can't see anything up there, it's so bright in this room.
And you can't.
I'm told there's no picture.
Or sound.
Yeah.
So we've posted a new link for Zoom webinar. It's on the Facebook page, and we're updating the website right now to make sure people can get directly in.
On whose Facebook page?
On the town Facebook page.
Bucksport.
Yes, Bucksport, Maine. So on our original post, and we posted an additional post just now.
Right, I am also hearing that the presentation itself will be posted on Bucksport Mill LLC. I'm sorry, Bucksport Answers. BucksportMillAnswers.com, so that everybody can have access to exactly the same information.
All right, good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me? So, my name is Richard Rosen. I am here as a community volunteer to help facilitate the public comment portion of the meeting. I am here as an unpaid volunteer. I'm not affiliated with any of the parties here in terms of membership or ownership or employment or whatever. And so my purpose is to make sure that we have an orderly and successful and productive public questioning period, and that we give everybody an opportunity to be able to pose their questions as was explained earlier. But I do want to touch on just a repeat of some of the process again as we go through this part of the presentation. So you heard about the purpose, received questions, comments, so they're on the record, and that is here in person, and as was mentioned, online now and ongoing. We are asking that folks keep your period of time when you comment or pose a question to 3 minutes. That is for your benefit, so that everyone has an opportunity to come forward. And we can work through the folks that are interested to do so. Again, I just want to repeat that the online site is BucksportMillAnswers.com. And folks can submit their questions and additional questions via the website. Again, repeating, we understand the meeting is being live streamed, and anyone that is viewing on the screen with questions can go to that website now. The website is live, and pose their questions. Also mentioned earlier that it's being recorded. So the camera that's recording the meeting is right over there. And also there are a couple of scribes, I think, that are producing a written record as well. So procedurally, let's have Elizabeth, who will have the mic here up front. The reason approaching it this way, if it's hands and we're running all over the room and back, it takes a lot of time. So if folks are just simply willing to come forward and state your name for the record. State the town that you reside in. If you want to identify one of the ponds as a particular interest, as well as stating the town that you reside in, that's fine as well. So, and as far as lining up, we create, hopefully, you know, a reasonable line. I don't want to make people stand all night, and just have folks come up, and as it works down, you know, have folks come forward, and we'll see if we can move through it and give everybody an opportunity. So the mic is yours. And we'll also, what I think we'll do, just to help you, Elizabeth will, when we get to like the 2.5 minute, 30 seconds left, I think she'll raise a flag, just to kind of give you an idea of, what the time that you have remaining. So thank you for being here, and we're ready to go.
Good evening. My name is Mark Westusha. I live in Orland, and I am currently president of Toddy Pond Association. I understand the process. In this first phase, when will the formal town consultations happen, and will additional engineering and maintenance records be made available?
Borrow that? First of all, this is part of the consultation period, right? We're consulting with all of you folks. We may have consultations directly with the towns. We've been approached with a number of questions from them. We are evaluating those, and we will respond to those. I think we've committed to responding to all questions within 10 days on the website. And I'm sorry, there was a second part of your question.
Will there be additional engineering and maintenance records?
The answer is we have reams of additional information, some of which will be provided pursuant to confidentiality agreements. Obviously, not all information is necessarily suitable for direct disposition to the public. If we have a confidentiality agreement in place that is acceptable, we will share that with bona fide interested parties, and to the extent that they then want to share with the voting populace, that obviously can be worked out.
Can you tell me who you are, please?
I'm sorry, it's David Bryant, and I'm the project manager for Bucksport Mill.
So the inspection report submitted to DEP on October 30th and 31st of multiple instances where repair and maintenance were recommended. Were any of these actually accomplished?
We'll respond to those questions as part of the follow-up.
Similar thing, inspection report dated 6/12/24 from commercial divers on Alamoosook Dam had multiple recommendations on things that need to be done. Were any of those done?
Same answer.
Yeah.
Last question. During the second phase, there are 3 state agencies that need to be consulted. Inland Fish, DACF, and MEMA. The very first thing each of those agencies is supposed to assess is the feasibility of maintaining the dams. Will additional information be made available to those state agencies beyond what is available now?
Absolutely, we'll comply with whatever information requests we get legitimately from any agencies that are asking.
Okay, thank you.
So again, just again to remind folks, this is the recording of incoming questions to receive as many as possible. Have those posted part of the record with answers to all of them to follow on the dates that you heard in the earlier presentation, with then the possibility of additional questions after that date, and then another round of follow-up questions. So trying to harvest as many questions as possible.
Mr. Moderator, can we get another mic for Mr. Bryant? Some of us have hearing impairment, and we can't hear him if he's not speaking on the mic. Either that, or put him on the podium.
In the event that Bucksport Mill does retain ownership of the dam and no water release order is issued, how will you guarantee the maintenance of the dam? And what will you devote to that in the way of resources? My name is Harold Shaw and I live in Penobscot. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold.
Klaus Hammond, Orland. A couple questions about property. How much property do Bucksport Mill and AIM own in Bucksport and Orland? And where is it located? Second question, what part will the property play in the release of ownership? 3 questions about the dams. Do reports on the conditions of the dams, other than those available from NEMA, exist? If so, when will they be made available? I'll tie in the third question. Why is any of the reams of information still being kept confidential at this stage of the process of identifying the ownership? What is the reference for NEMA's appraisal of AIM's actions concerning the dams? Final question, fishways. Does public value include the fishways?
Thank you.
Yes, good evening. My name is Jim Ring. I live in Torrington, Maine. My family has had property on Toddy since the early 60s, and I have a place on Middle Toddy. Some of the overview that was given first answers some of these questions. I wrote them down before, but I'll just state them anyway, and they can be responded on the website. I assume this meeting, I have a couple of questions, I think probably yes, no, or whatever. Is this meeting part of the requirements for the statutory process? I assume that's the case.
That's correct.
So, all right, and I'm curious, are there any DEP representatives in attendance tonight?
Is there anyone from the Department of Environmental Protection here?
Interesting. All right, I may be, have some incorrect information, but it seems to me that I've heard that this is the first application of this sort, or first test of this statute. Is that correct, or am I mistaken on that? Somebody must know that.
I'm no authority, but it's my understanding that this is the first use of this current statute having reached this point in the process.
So this is, however this is handled, will certainly serve as a precedent. So this is very, very important, not only for all of us locally, but statewide. The specific questions that I'll just ask and then get the answers later. I assume that the decision options for DEP, this is a DEP process, an application to DEP, if I'm correct. I assume it's just to either approve or deny. Is that? Okay. We can answer that on the website, I guess. I'm also interested in what the criteria is that DEP will apply or consider in their ruling, making their ruling on the application. And specifically, how will DEP consider a number of things that I guess some of which have been touched on. And how will DEP consider things like environmental impacts, loss of fish and wildlife habitat, loss of recreational opportunity, which is significant. I see, at least on Toddy Pond, there's a new boat launching facility being constructed. The one on Silver Lake was fairly new and very nice. 30 seconds I'm told. Hurry up, Jim. Loss of recreational opportunity, obviously impact on property values and tax revenues. And then are there any other public meetings? Is there provision for that if DEP requires them? And lastly, appeal processes regardless of the outcome. Thank you.
My name is Ralph Chapman from Bucksport. And my single question is whether the owner of the Silver Lake Dam, is intending to follow the Bucksport ordinance, to comply with the Bucksport ordinance relating to dam removals or abandonments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph.
I am sorry, I don't hear very well, so I may ask a question that's already been asked. My name is John Moss. I'm from Penobscot on Toddy Pond. And I have a questions for Haley Ward prepared a report which had 4 elements that needed to be done. One was divers, one was coring of the concrete, one was design and repair, and one was to remove the vegetation. I would like to see the reports of all that's been done. Then I would like to see had a maintenance log that was prepared as a revised maintenance log. Tony Fletcher from Emergency Management said that there was supposed to be a maintenance log prepared by 2023. I would like to see the maintenance logs before this revised maintenance log, which has no entries of any maintenance whatsoever. So there should be some evidence of what has been done to maintain the dam. Then I'd like to see new pictures that go with the Haley Ward pictures to show that repairs have been made on the dam. That's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Marks. I'm from Blue Hill. My family and I have lived on Toddy Pond for quite a while. And in regards to environmental concerns, Toddy Pond is home to many different flora and fauna. Some of these species are endangered, species like the golden eagle that has been flourishing on Toddy Pond. And we want to know what steps are going to be taken to assure the protection and conservation of this species and species like them, like the common loon that has also been flourishing on lakes like Toddy in the past few years, if it does come to releasing the waters.
Hello, my name is Jesse Leach. I raise oysters on the Baganoose River. I realize it's not very close to what your problem is, but when they replaced the bridge on that river, they didn't replace the abutment there that restricts the water that goes in and out. I asked the person that was the head of it why they don't drill that abutment and so they could save it while they don't have a bridge there. He said, that's not in the contract. Okay, so a year
we're paying a ton of money on property tax on that water property. Is that gonna get reevaluated? Is our property gonna increase and still keep the property tax the same? I mean, these are questions that need to be answered. The simplest solution is Maine, keep the dams going, please.
Good evening. My name is Ron Russell. I live on Long Island. And I'm here tonight to represent my wife and her sister who own a property on Alamoosook Lake. So the predecessors to your ownership, Bucksport Mill LLC, in title made covenants to lake owners to maintain certain water levels in exchange for flowage rights to their properties. Do you intend to honor those rights? That's the question I have. And do you intend, if you don't honor those rights, to offer financial redress for dismissing those rights? In your sale to Whole Oceans, did you have a financial agreement to maintain the supply of water to them? If so, was that dependent on maintaining a certain level of water in Toddy Pond, Alamoosook Lake, and Silver Lake? And what was the value if there was such an agreement? Prior to this year, did you offer the dams and associated water rights for sale? And then lastly, I have, if a new owner is not found, and you are ultimately granted a release of water order, will you release the water from the 3 lakes? And then it's unclear to me in the statute, if that's the case, who will then own the dams and the dam property?
Thank you, Ron. Regarding the DEP, correct me, folks, if I got this wrong, but I believe it's the intent that the written questions, the recording of the verbal questions, the responses to those questions that will be posted on the website, the intent is all of that will be made available to DEP. Is that correct? Okay.
That's an obligation.
That's an obligation under the statute, or that's a requirement? Okay.
I am Lisa DeWeese. I live in Orland. I'm currently the president of the Alamoosook Lake Association. We have several questions we'd love to get on record and have answered. The first one's regarding the estimated annual repair and maintenance costs. Various lake associations, municipalities, and the Department of Environmental Protection have requested essential information to assess potential ownership or management of the dams. To date, AIM has provided very limited details on repair and maintenance. Will this be provided and when? The second question is, what is AIM's ideal outcome as a result of filing for abandonment of these dams? Is AIM considering any financial support or assistance to help a potential new owner assume the associated cost and legal responsibilities? If so, what is the level of investment that AIM is prepared to offer? The third question, is AIM considering the removal of these dams? If so, what are the regulatory requirements and procedures that must be followed before proceeding with dam removal? Lastly, during the 180-day consultation period mandated by state law, what specific requirements must AIM fulfill? What steps are involved in this process? And what are the potential outcomes after this period concludes?
Emily Fitzgerald, Bucksport, and coordinator of courtesy boat inspections on Silver Lake. I just have one question. As this is very new, is there a website, phone number, or email that the DEP has that people can comment on the handling of the meeting as a part of these procedures?
Yes, let me repeat it again, because I think it's just relatively new. All one word, bucksportmillanswers.com. And the questions posed here will have answers on that website by November 24 is the target. So again, folks that are watching the live stream can go to that website now and they can post questions. bucksportmillanswers.com.
But that's not the DEP.
No.
That was her question.
Oh, that was the question.
The question was who
DEP?
you contacted the DEP.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question.
Sure. My name is Mark Fowler. I'm a property owner on Toddy Pond. And I've heard several things about the impact it will have on fauna and on fish, on the bird population, loons and golden eagle, several of those other things. Also on property values, but I'm also a business owner. And I make income because I have property on Toddy Pond. Who will be responsible for the economic impact? Not only the people who have property who will lose value, but also people's businesses that will be impacted.
I'm Jeff Miller. I'm here from my wife who owns a house on Toddy Pond. First off, the audio on the live stream is not working. Anyway, it's my understanding from what was said earlier that should it get to the point where the three agencies that are involved are consider taking ownership of the dams, that they will evaluate for value to the public. I'd like to know what is the parameters that are used for value to the public. Obviously, the majority of people here have a substantial stake in the existence of the dams should the water be released. I am a real estate broker and have been so for over 20 years. And on an individual basis, there is no question what will happen to the property values. They will be substantially impressed because nobody will want to buy a property on what was a lake or pond that is now. I can't imagine what will be left if they are returned to just a river or stream. So the impact to the individuals is one thing. The impact to all the towns from a tax basis, I can't even begin to imagine the decrease in tax revenue to these towns. And how will that be made up by the towns? Is the state going to now supplement these towns for their lost revenue? Or is there some other method that is going to be used for the financial to the towns themselves? And then individuals, yes, we all have a stake, but on the grand scale, it's much bigger. It's the sum of the parts that are bigger than the sum of the parts are much bigger than the whole. All right. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eddie Ganella. I'm a landowner in Orland on Toddy Pond. What has Bucksport Mill LLC done to date to find a buyer for the dams and water rights? Has Bucksport Mill LLC listed the dams, property, and water rights for sale publicly? For how long? When was it listed? Have they hired a real estate agent? What expenditures has Bucksport Mill LLC incurred to attempt to sell property? Is there any deferred maintenance that AIM or Bucksport Mill LLC has not repaired since assuming ownership of the dam? What else does AIM own in Maine? Do they own any other dams or water rights? If so, are they attempting to disown those? What studies have been completed regarding any sediment or chemicals held in the sediment that is backed up behind the dams? What is the composition of the sediment behind each of the dams? Is Bucksport Mill LLC aware of any chemicals present in the sediment that would be released if the water is released?
Hi, my name is Dave Donnelly. My family has owned on Toddy Pond since the 1930s. I apologize, I don't know the history of the mill. I understand that it provided opportunity, employment for the area and the surrounding towns for many, many years. And I believe that the ponds were somehow made artificially by dams of some sort. So my question is, if the worst case scenario that was on the chart, that you release the water because we have no other option, do we have an impact or a presentation that will tell us what will happen? Should I get scuba gear for my house, or should I get sun tanning beds for tanning lotion because it will be a desert? I am wondering also what the price, if obviously it's something to do with money, because there's a price that needs to, what is the price that to maintain the dams to move forward so that we can maintain our revenues with all the businesses that are surrounding, that are based on water activities? And I don't have, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what else. I feel like maybe I missed a memo or something, that I'm a little late to this meeting. So what the price would be that we could somehow come together as a community and maybe take ownership of the dam, where the mill had provided employment for many years for the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Albion Kimball. I live in Orland on the Alamoosook River. I'd like to thank the gentleman that preceded me for his question on scuba gear, because I'm downstream from the Toddy Pond Dam and the Alamoosook Dam. So if they go all at once, I'll need that scuba gear. My question is about water rights. What are the water rights that come along with, do they accompany the dam? Who owns the water rights? What will happen to them? Are they saleable? And I ask that question because in Orland, we own the town, the Orland Dam on the Alamoosook River. And when the mill sold that to the town of Orland for the outrageous price of $1, they did not, to my knowledge, include the water rights. They retained the water rights. So why did they do that? And who owns that now? What's the value and the saleability of those water rights? And if we drain the lakes, do those water rights include the river? Do they include the mud flats on the sides where you can drill and find more water? You know, just what are water rights? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joseph D'Avanzo, I live in Bucksport at 7 Spring Street. My question is, a few years ago, maybe 8 years ago, was at a meeting with the owners of the dam in Maine, and the information in the manual was set out that the owners of the dams have a operational obligation to maintain the water level of Silver Lake, because it is the water supply for the town of Bucksport. And if the lake reached a low level, then operations for any other industry would have to stop, and water can only be used for the town of Bucksport. So my question is this operational application still in effect? And if so, how does that coincide with releasing the water from the lake, then water for the town supply would be gone? So I wanted to know, basically, is this operational obligation still in effect?
Hello, I'm Lucy Leaf. I actually live in Ellsworth, but I have family and I have legal access to property on Toddy Pond. And I have two things I want to say. The first one is at this stage of the game, why is AIM still requiring a confidentiality agreement to provide any kind of information? That just is something I can't understand. But I'd like to say that also this appears, looking at the whole process, it appears that this is our only opportunity to appeal or to make any statements that the state might hear when they do their review of ownership as has been described. I don't see it anywhere else in the whole process. So I'd like to say that I've been involved with coordinating the courtesy boat inspection program on Toddy Pond for quite a few years, as well as the plant patrol for invasive plants. Toddy Pond Association and many volunteers have put a lot into protecting the lake. Now, that landing is owned, the landing on Toddy Pond is owned by DACF, Department of Agriculture Conservation. They are now putting in a new ramp. There's a huge amount of equipment down there. They're investing in it. And there's also navigational aids all over Toddy Pond, which collectively all makes it very easy for many outsiders as well as Toddy Pond owners to use that lake. They come from all over, as we see in our courtesy boat inspection. I also need to indicate that Toddy Pond Association pays at least 80% of the costs for that for the program, and it's all volunteers for the plant control. And Alamoosook is the same; they put in a lot of volunteer effort and such. So we've done a lot to protect these lakes, and the use is very high. The landing at Toddy Pond is the busiest by far landing in all of Hancock County and probably the whole eastern area. We get as many as 40 to 50 boats inspected on a really busy day in the middle of the summer, and that's per day. Well over 1,000 inspections all through the summer. We have intercepted invasive plants at least twice, keeping them on. Thank you. So I want to appeal to especially DACF, but also wildlife. I'm told by one of the Fish and Wildlife wardens that their job security is Toddy Pond because they spend a lot of time on Toddy Pond. And so there's a lot invested by the state and us region-wide to protect the lakes. And I think that the state really needs to seriously consider having some kind of role in continuing keeping the water in Toddy Pond, all the lakes involved, and helping to protect our lakes. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Sydney and I live on Silver Lake here in Bucksport. I have two questions. It's a follow-up to an earlier question about chemical testing, but has any testing required or internal personal monitoring been performed to measure the anoxic or dissolved oxygen levels in the lake, like pH, temperature, turbidity, TSS tests or saddleometers to measure the effect of what the surrounding environment and consequences to the receiving environment of such the event of a water release? Has any previous testing been done to investigate on that fact? The next question, if there is a transfer of ownership found of these dams, would there provide an opportunity to a new owner to apply for grants or to do the required repairs or potential upgrades for the new owner That's right. Yeah, that's it.
My name is Stan Leach. I live in Owen. I assume that the motivation for abandonment of these dams is because of maintenance and high cost of replacement. Has a feasibility study been done to look at alternatives to removing the dam, to replace them with something along the line of a boulder dam? I know that's been done in Reston and under circumstances similar to this. That's it. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Jeff Miller, I'm still here for my wife and we're in the house on Toddy Pond. Just a quick correction. While this may be the only public meeting that the state may hear about our concerns and our feelings, it is not to be limited, because every one of us, and I encourage you all, I encourage every one of you in this room to write a letter to our state senators and our representatives and let them know. And some of us are really very much for being here tonight, because they do want to hear from you. This is not the only opportunity. Thank you.
I want to know if there's a priority of which dams you're gonna pull, because Bucksport is important for water for the town.
Just your name and your town.
Sorry, my name is Dave Adams. I live in Bucksport. My brother has property in Surrey on Toddy Pond. And Toddy Pond is the highest level of all the three lakes. Toddy Pond runs naturally through the dam to Alamoosook. The only one that goes to Silver Lake was through Pike. And Silver Lake is a priority in town of Bucksport. The other two lakes are not. And I want to know if there's a priority to these three dams. That's my question.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sue Lassard, and I'm the town manager for the town of Bucksport, and I'm accompanied tonight by all 7 of our elected councilors, our 2 incoming town councilors. I wrote my remarks before I realized I only had 3 minutes, so it may be 3 minutes and 15 seconds, but the dams in question here are high-risk dams for the town and our citizens. We seek consultation with the petitioner on questions of what property would be abandoned, how it would be abandoned, and liabilities associated with those properties. This is necessary information to the municipality to carry out our role in protecting our citizens. We have asked for a consultation, a discussion, and exchange of information with AIM/Bucksport Mill LLC. A 3-minute time slot to speak and ask questions is not sufficient consultation with the town of Bucksport to meet our obligations under Title 38. Since July of 2024, when the first petition was filed, our town has sought information from the petitioners. Rather than receive information, we've experienced a process characterized by chaos and confusion. There has been failure to notify all affected parties, inaccurate information in the first petition, presumed inaccurate ownership information since it changed from one petition to the next, inaccurate meeting location information requiring multiple notices, and most concerning, a failure to provide any meaningful information that would allow Bucksport to make a decision about potential ownership. Title 38 requires that a dam owner act in good faith in seeking a potential new owner. At a minimum, good faith would need to include accurate and timely responses to requests for information. And thus far, there have been none. Well, the town has already submitted written questions to Bucksport Mill LLC, and I am assuming those questions will be answered as part of this process. I have a few more. Has Bucksport Mill LLC or its predecessors had any review done on the deeded rights of property owners for lake level maintenance and the separate easements and indenture guarantee to both Maine Water Company for provision of drinking water and Bucksport Generation for water needs related to the power plant? If AIM or Bucksport Mill LLC has itself or in its files a title review or any information on such real estate obligations, can a copy be provided to the towns? If we are to take on Silver Lake Dam, we need to know what the obligations are and what they are not, to consider whether to seek to take over what the petitioner seeks to abandon. We look forward to responses to the questions as part of the process under Title 38. The town asks the petitioner to undertake consultation with the town as well as provide the requested information.
Hello, my name is Dale Liverley. This is close, sorry. My name is Dale Liverley, and my wife and I own a newly built home on Toddy Pond. So we invested interest, like most of the folks here that I suspect have property on the lakes for years and years. My one question is that it may be for Haley Ward, and that is that what is has the company done any modeling to be able to show what the impact is going to be with regards to water levels for the various ponds and lakes? Has that modeling done to be able to show what the physical impact with regards to property is? Has that been done? And has that been shared?
David? I think we're gonna ask.
You can respond on the website.
Good evening. My name is Mark Vinoy. I'm the president of the Maine Water Company. Our local address is 191 School Street in Bucksport. And I want to talk briefly about the public safety aspect of this. As a water provider for the town of Bucksport, we have about 700 customers in Bucksport and a portion of Orland. We have a deeded right to 1 million gallons a day from Silver Lake. And in fact, with that deeded right, the paper company actually gave us an indenture a number of years ago. It says the paper company does hereby covenant with the water company that it will perpetually maintain the level of Silver Lake at or above an elevation of 120 feet above mean sea level as established by the U.S. Geodetic Survey. Now, when I talk about public safety, we do two things. We provide high quality drinking water to the town, but we also provide for fire safety, for fire prevention, and water flows for that. So when you think about high quality water under the Safe Drinking Water Act, that empowerment is really important to the town of Bucksport and to delivering on both public safety with respect to fire and water quality. That empowerment serves two purposes. It reduces turbidity in the water, and it also provides the hydraulic head for water to flow to the treatment plant. When we think about fire protection, that combination of the 1 million gallons a day, that 121-foot water level, and the storage in the system ensures that we're able to meet those fire flows when they're called upon. If you look at the history of many water systems and Bucksport as well, there were back in the day some serious fires that went right through the town. So it's an important function of the water system. So my question would be, is the recorded deed indenture that I just read from commits the paper company to perpetually maintaining the level of Silver Lake at 120 feet. How do you plan to honor this obligation through this process? Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, David Littell. I'm an attorney for the town of Bucksport here. And just want to add a couple comments really for the folks in the room who are asking questions about the process. This public meeting is required, as has been said, but the DEP also has a project manager named Laura Hay. Her email is laura.kpaye, and it's her job to listen to your comments. At one point in time, I worked for the Department of Environmental Protection. You can also copy the commissioner. You can find her online, her email. And you have a right to petition and ask your questions to the department. And the key words that you want to know in that is you are a party in interest. You have an interest in this, so that you can petition the department and let them know what your concerns are. That's their job in addition to this. And the other thing I would suggest respectfully is I understand there are at least one representative and one senator here. If you might allow them to introduce themselves and anyone else, I'm sure they would love to hear from folks too.
Please.
Hi, everybody. Okay. I'm Nina Milliken. I serve as the state representative to the towns of Blue Hill, Brooksville, Castine, Sedgwick, Surrey, and Trenton.
Nicole Grahowski, State Senator for Senate District 7, which includes Orland, Penobscot, Surrey, and Blue Hill, not Bucksport, but many affected towns and communities. And I want to just thank everybody who has already reached out to us, and we are tracking this process and trying to figure out how we can be helpful, but your feedback and questions tonight are certainly part of the process that we are trying to be aware of and hopefully be effective in.
Steve Bishop from Bucksport, your incoming state representative. Currently serving on the dam committee. We've been doing a lot of work and a lot of research with a lot of the things that have been discussed tonight. I really appreciate everyone being here. This makes the time that the dam committee has put into very worthwhile for us to see this being so heavily attended. So thank you for being here tonight.
I'm Ron Russell. I currently represent the district for another couple, 3 weeks. How it going? I will say this, the delegation in existence here have been working on this as well as the dam committee. And I'll leave it at that, and hopefully we can work this out as best we can between all of us.
My name is Rob Yerkovich from Orland. I'm the Toddy Pond Association Secretary, and it's very apparent to me that there's plenty of people here on Toddy Pond who aren't getting my emails. So send me an email, toddymail@toddypond.org.
Hi, I'm Sue Shaw. I live in Penobscot. I don't own any land anywhere except on the Castine Road, but I play on Lake Alamoosook and the Narragansett an awfully lot. And just to remind you, there are a lot of people around that don't have property that would stand in a fight to protect the water. You know, if somebody wants to threaten the Narragansett or threaten Lake Alamoosook, there's an awful lot of kayakers and recreational boaters that would stand with you. So, and remember, please, it was in a notice that we got somewhere. Oh, it was at the polls. There's going to be town meetings. Penobscot's is December the 3rd. I don't know when the other ones are. Yes, sir.
Penobscot meeting will be December 7th and December 7th.
Oops.
We haven't set the time yet.
Okay, Penobscot's changed. It's now December the 7th. But the meetings are important. Go, please. Okay, thank you.
Town of Orland, I believe the Orland meeting is December 13th. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. I'd like to address this in a slightly different way before, first starting with thanks to Mr. Dave Bryant, with whom several of us here have enjoyed very long conversations long before any of this became, if you will, more critical as it is now. And I'd like to say that we live in a time where there is greater consciousness about habitat and the preservation of habitat as part of the value, wildlife habitat and human, we're also wildlife, by the way. And so in other jurisdictions where there is anticipated harm to the environment, to the habitat, human and animal, corporations that own dams and have either caused harm or could potentially cause harm have actually participated in the remediation process. I sense from a lot of what's happened here that it's been somewhat adversarial, and I think we could consider a different path, and that is actually a more cooperative one in which I invite AIM and Bucksport Mill to participate also financially in the remedy of this entire process. Thank you.
So we're coming up to about another 10 minutes in the schedule. But we don't want anyone to feel as though they've been cut off. Are there, show of hands, are there folks that are interested in more questions or comments that they want to make sure are included in the record that's being developed this evening? Gentleman coming up.
Is Bucksport Mill LLC, Peter Fitzgerald, Town of Bucksport. Is Bucksport Mill LLC the legal owner of all three dams?
Yes.
Has legal
I
ownership,
don't think you could hear, the response was yes.
has the legal ownership been transferred recently?
No. Response, no.
Is AIM concerned about the safety of the public? What are the DEP requirements for sediment cleanup? Are the areas of impact left if the water is drained considered an industrial brownfield site? Does AIM intend to leave the abandoned areas in a condition that is safe to the public? Will there be large areas that would be dangerous for our kids to go where they previously go fishing right now? Has the quality of life of our future generations been considered?
My name is Elizabeth Allaby. I live in Penobscot on the Castine Road. I don't have property on the impacted lakes. But my question is, how will wells be impacted? If the water is released, there isn't going to be as much water in those aquifers. I know wells around my area have basically been tapped. And this summer, for example, we had 54 days without rain. So yes, property values might go down if you're on mud, but you can't sell a house if there's not water. So who will be responsible for that? The assessment of that, as well as figuring out what to do about that and all the impacted areas also outside of Silver Lake.
Hi, my name is George Schelling. I live in Orland. I want to submit that all of us here tonight are parties in interest. There's been a suggestion that that is a limited term, and I suggest that it is not. All of us have an interest in these dams and the fossil water bodies, and that we should not be restricted from access to any of the information that is developed or already has been developed, so that we can form our own opinions and register them with the appropriate parties. Thank you.
Just want to clarify.
My name is David Wyman. I live in Castine, but have property on Toddy Pond, which enjoy very much. One issue that I've been thinking about is the whole series of ponds, Craig's Pond included, Toddy, Alamoosook, Silver Lake, all comprise a large storage of fresh water. And I know a few years ago, Castine ran out of water and trucked water from Bucksport. And maintaining that water resource seems to be an important thing. And as time goes on, we may even get into a point where Bucksport through Silver Lake might export water to people in areas that don't have it. And so I think that should be considered. Second question is, if the water is released from Toddy Pond, will property owners such as myself be compensated for the loss?
Ron Russell again from Rhode Island. I just want to clarify my original question, since the water company did a better job than I did. Specifically, are you aware of the deeded covenants to water levels to the 33 landowners at Alamoosook Lake that were granted by the Maine Seaboard Paper Company on September 9th of 1931? 33 landowners encompass the whole of Alamoosook. Yeah.
Yes, Jeff Miller again. I was handed a email to share with you, and this is from the attorney representing the towns. This is from Russell.
Yes.
And it went to Scott, Gina, Mary, there's a whole bunch of names in here.
It's Orland, not Scott, Surrey, and Bluehead.
Okay. And he had just spoken with Kat Joyce from DEP. And Kat said she will not be there tonight. She did not know if anyone from the DEP will be. At last check, Laura Pay only wanted to be there, quote, if it would be helpful, end quote. That's what it says. And would only be on procedural questions. Kat did concur with my side research that apparently the DEP has not gone through this procedure under Title 38 before with any other dam, so we don't have precedent. But I was heartened by my candid discussion with Kat that I've used an interpretation of statutory procedures appears to be a general alignment, both in terms of what is expected of tonight and in terms of what the municipal roles are going forward under Title 38. No statements tonight will be treated as formal town expressions of position, policy, or questions. Kat agreed with this. There is no expectation that the towns as a group need to make a formal statement or ask questions of any kind. And Kat acknowledged we have in any event asked questions formally under Title 38 in connection with the required municipal process. Kat and I agreed to touch base again after this meeting. I'll coordinate with one of the other. Thank you.
My name is Hans Christel, resident of Bucksport. With a few quick observations. My partner, well, first of all the dams are in critical condition. They need attention, expensive attention. We're talking about a lot of money to maintain these dams. My partner Nancy and I will lose more than property value. I think if the dam here in Bucksport is not tended and it lets loose, it will be washed into the Penobscot River. Us along with our house, our cars, everything. So we'll lose our property, literally, if the dams aren't maintained. I think as far as responsibility for the dam, as I understand the situation, AIM is sort of the last person in a game of musical chairs. They're the ones standing. You know, other people who own the dams have the responsibility. That responsibility for the dams is passed from owner to owner. AIM is now the last holder of that responsibility. A real question really is, when you get through all the legalese and everything, what is better for us as a community, collection of communities, as a human race here, to keep the dams? There are arguments made about returning the rivers to their natural state. I'm not the best expert to talk about all the benefits of doing that or the reasons for doing it. But we need to come to a conclusion about, beyond all ownership issues, is it better for us as a community to have the dams or to return the rivers to their natural state? My guess is if the Department of DEP does all their evaluation, they will find the values, the wildlife, people, everything, overcome the benefits of taking out the dam. So we're going to come to the conclusion that we need the dams. Okay, now how do we come together as human beings and keep them? We've got AIM, who owns the responsibility right now. We've got the state, who has resources. We've got owners around, we as people who could possibly buy a dam and maintain it ourselves. We need to know the cost of all these things. But the bottom line is, instead of AIM fighting the state, fighting the community, all three parties come together and maintain the dams, rebuild them, do whatever is necessary, do it as a collaborative effort. That's my 2 cents.
My name's Lee Martin. I live in Toddy Pond in Portland. Talking into the mic, right? I believe AIM applied to divest themselves of ownership. When they did, they claimed that it was maintenance costs and then liability insurance. Just that prospect that if the dams were to break, how that downstream, and that's what MEMA gets involved. But if I were a millionaire and I were interested in buying this property and the water rights, how would I obtain that maintenance cost information, the liability insurance information that they're putting in the petition to be able to divest themselves? If I was an interested buyer, how would I get that information? Why is that not open source? That's my question.
I'm Mary Allen from the town of Surrey, and there was a question here about the special town meetings that these other 4 towns are going to have as required by law, and we're having our special town meeting in Surrey on December 3rd at 6 p.m. So anyone from Surrey here tonight, please come. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I think you are our closer tonight. But I think that's a good point to remind folks. My understanding is that the process, the impacted communities are always scheduling the public meetings over the next few weeks. So check the coverage, check postings, find the final date so that you are able to attend if you're so interested. It looks to scanning the room. I think we're all set. So we'll conclude this portion of the meeting. Thank you very much.